It's funny how we talk so much about professional success and what it takes to get ahead, but there's this one element that often gets overlooked. It's
Uh-huh.
not about some fancy degree or a killer skill set, it's about something a lot more human.
Okay, I like where this is going.
It's about the way we handle those transitions in our lives. Those moments when we're stepping away from a job, a partnership, even a project that's run its course.
Yeah, exits. Those can be tricky.
Exactly. And it's not just about leaving on good terms, although that's definitely part of it. It's more about how those departures shape what comes next.
I see what you mean. Like the ripple effect of how we handle those moments.
Precisely. And that's what we're diving into today for you, our listeners. We're going to unpack how navigating those exits gracefully can have this almost unseen power to influence your future opportunities and the support systems you'll have down the line.
It should be interesting. We're basically talking about a universal truth that most people just don't grasp.
Right. It's like a hidden rule of success, kind of like a secret ingredient that separates those who seem to consistently thrive from everyone else.
And it all boils down to relationships, doesn't it? Not the superficial kind, but those genuine connections that have this almost magical way of coming back around when you least expect it.
Absolutely. When I think about those individuals who seem to effortlessly navigate their careers and personal lives, they almost always have this strong, often invisible web of support.
It's like they've got this inner circle, this crew of people they can rely on no matter what.
You got it. And it's not about some exclusive club or a meticulously curated list of contacts. It's something much more organic. It's about building authentic, resilient relationships.
And let me be clear. We're not talking about manipulating situations or trying to game the system. It's not about you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
No, not at all. It's about something deeper, something that pays off in ways you often can't predict. It's about being the kind of person others want to support, even years down the line.
Okay, so how do we get there? How do we start building these keeper relationships, as you call them?
Well, I think stories are always a good place to start. They help us visualize the concepts and see how they play out in real life.
Right, concrete examples. I like it.
So imagine this for a second. You're in Vermont, beautiful countryside, rolling hills, maybe there's a touch of fall foliage in the air. And in this picturesque setting, you've got two individuals collaborating on a business venture.
Let's say they're passionate about something local, something homegrown, maybe a craft brewery or a farm-to-table restaurant, something that requires real dedication and a shared vision.
Now, as often happens in these intense collaborations, a significant disagreement arises, a fundamental difference in how they see the future of the business.
Oh, I can already feel the tension brewing.
And it gets to the point where continuing together just isn't sustainable. They have to part ways.
That's a tough situation. You can almost feel the emotions running high. Disappointment, frustration, maybe even a sense of betrayal.
You nailed it. And you can imagine how easily this could spiral into negativity. Accusations flying, reputations taking a hit, maybe even some legal battles.
Yeah, we've all heard those stories. Partnerships that implode spectacularly, leaving a trail of bitterness and resentment.
But here's the crucial part for you, our listeners. Neither of these individuals goes down that road. Even though the business relationship dissolves, they manage to maintain a core level of respect for each other.
Wow, that takes a lot of maturity, especially when there's so much at stake.
Doesn't it? They walk away, probably with some lingering frustration, but they avoid the temptation to badmouth each other or sabotage future endeavors.
Okay, so they take the high road.
Yeah.
But how does that play out in the long run?
No, fast forward a few years, maybe 5, maybe even 10. Their paths cross again professionally.
What, after all that time?
Yep. And that first meeting after the split, intense.
I bet it was, like walking into a room full of unsaid things.
Totally. 2 hours, I hear, of some very direct, even fiery
Oh,
conversation.
I can only imagine.
But because they didn't completely torch the relationship years earlier, because that baseline respect remained, they're able to hash things out. They can be honest, even confrontational, without it turning into a destructive free-for-all.
And what happens next?
Well, what emerges from that potentially volatile encounter are, get this, new opportunities. Collaborations neither of them could have foreseen.
No kidding. So the respect they showed each other, even during a difficult split, actually created new possibilities down the line.
It's almost counterintuitive, isn't it? We tend to think about success as this linear climb, but sometimes taking a step back, even a seemingly negative one, can open up unexpected
This
avenues.
is why I love these deep dives. It's like you're getting a sneak peek into how successful people actually operate.
It's all about playing the long game. Okay, ready for another example?
Hit me with it.
Let's stick with our Vermont entrepreneurs. One of them, let's call him Entrepreneur A, is building a successful company.
Okay. He's got momentum. Things are clinking.
Yeah, but he's always looking for top talent. And one day, he realizes that his former business partner, Entrepreneur B, has someone working for him who'd be a perfect fit.
So what does he do? Does he try to poach this employee? Offer them a better deal under the table?
Nope. He does something much more audacious. He sets up a meeting with Entrepreneur B, maybe over lunch at a place known for power lunches.
Okay, so a high-stakes lunch meeting. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Picture it. They're at a swanky restaurant, good food, professional ambiance, and then Entrepreneur A lays it out there. What if I hired your star employee?
Wow, that's direct. No beating around the bush.
Right. And Entrepreneur B's response, just as straightforward, we need them right now. No drama, no negotiation, just an honest statement of his company's needs.
And what does Entrepreneur A do?
Accepts it immediately, understands the situation, they shake hands, maybe even acknowledge the mutual respect in that exchange.
Wait, so the employee never even knows about this whole back and forth.
Exactly, and that's the point. The potential for immediate gain, the chance to snag this top talent, is deliberately set aside to preserve the integrity of the relationship.
So he prioritizes the long-term relationship over the short-term win.
You got it. And that, my friend, is a powerful lesson for all of us. Now imagine how that trust, that willingness to put relationships first, compounds over time.
I bet it creates this almost unbreakable bond.
It does. Fast forward again, years later, when major life events happen, successes or challenges, these two guys are each other's first call.
They've become each other's go-to person.
Yep. And it goes beyond just professional support. They both have families, and the level of trust they've built extends to those personal spheres as well.
You mean like if one of them was facing a crisis, needed help for their kids, whatever it might be, the other one would be there without hesitation?
Absolutely. And here's the thing. This isn't just some isolated feel-good anecdote. We see this pattern over and over again in the lives of successful individuals.
So it's not about avoiding conflict altogether. It's about handling it with grace and respect.
Precisely. Even if a relationship ends, even if there's initial friction, if you resist the urge to burn bridges, to engage in that negativity, you leave the door open for future possibilities.
This is reminding me of that saying, don't trade a diamond for a handful of pebbles.
Perfect analogy. It's easy to get caught up in those shiny short-term gains, but they rarely offer any lasting value.
Whereas nurturing relationships, even if it means a perceived loss in the moment, that's what pays dividends in the long run.
It's like planting a garden. You put in the work, you nurture the soil, even if you don't see those flowers bloom for a while. But when they do, the rewards are so much richer.
And speaking of rewards, let's talk about the flip side of this whole equation. What happens when you don't handle exits well?
Ooh, that's a juicy topic. We've all seen those train wrecks, haven't we?
Oh yeah, the ones where someone storms out, leaving a trail of scorched earth.
It's like they think they're making this grand statement, but all they're really doing is limiting their own future options.
It's like slamming the door shut on a room full of opportunities.
Exactly. And think about it, it's not just about professional life. This extends to personal relationships as well. Friendships, family dynamics, even community involvement.
If you're constantly burning bridges, you end up isolating yourself, creating this unnecessary drama.
And here's the kicker. It's not just you who suffers. The ripple effects of those negative exits can impact your loved ones as well.
Think about it. You might need to ask for a favor down the line, a crucial introduction, some expert advice. But if you've alienated everyone in your network, who's going to be there to help?
And that brings us to a really important point. The power of narrative.
Narratives. You mean like the stories we tell ourselves and others about why things happen the way they did?
You got it. And how those narratives shape our perceptions.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Think about it. Someone gets laid off, but they tell everyone they're choosing to pursue a simpler life, maybe relocating to some idyllic location.
Right, the I'm not a victim, I'm choosing my own path narrative.
But often you can sense the unspoken reality beneath that carefully crafted story. Now compare that with someone who leaves a position quietly, gracefully, without any fanfare.
They're not broadcasting their grievances or trying to paint themselves as a martyr.
Exactly. And here's the interesting part. Years later, that same individual might need to reach out to a former colleague, maybe to inquire about an opportunity for their child.
Because they handled that initial exit with integrity, that help is more likely to be offered.
It's all about building a legacy of positive interactions. And that, my friend, is something worth striving for. Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. Let's wrap up with some key takeaways for our listeners.
Sounds good. Give them something to chew on.
If there's one thing I want you to remember from our conversation today, it's this. Cherish those meaningful relationships in your life. Not every connection is created equal, of course. Some naturally fade with time. But those core relationships, the ones built on mutual respect and trust, those are the ones to hold on to.
They're like gold.
And here's the thing. Those relationships aren't just for the here and now. They're for the long haul. They're the foundation of your personal and professional support system.
And remember, it's not about being a pushover or letting people walk all over you. It's about setting boundaries with grace, handling disagreements with maturity, and always leaving the door open for future possibilities.
You know, it's like building a sturdy house. You need a strong foundation to weather those inevitable storms that life throws your way.
And your relationships, those are the bricks and mortar of that foundation.
Beautifully said. So, as you go about your day, your week, your year, take a moment to reflect on your own circle of connections. Who are those people you can truly rely on? Who are your anchors, your clutch players? Nurture those relationships, treat them with care, and watch how they come back to support you in ways you never imagined.
Because when life throws those curveballs your way, and it will, those are the people who will be there to catch you.
And that, my friend, is a level of security and support that money can't buy.
Until next time.
See you on the next deep dive.